A lot has happened today. We have to talk about a lot here. But the first thing that we are going to do, we are going to go ahead. We are going to hop in a fantasy football draft as we always do. This is a $5 buy-in. If you are new to Underdog, I definitely recommend this is the tournament you get in. $1 million prize pool. Have already been 32,000 entrants in 24 hours, something ridiculous. 200,000 for first, 100,000 for second, all the way down the line. And yeah, we had a member of the flock a few years back take down a puppy tournament. So hopefully I can take it down this year. But we in? Let's see what pick we're getting. We are six, super comfortable. We'll be able to work with it. We have a few members of the flock that I can see in this draft with us. We'll give you all shout outs. Now, I don't know how long we should wait to address. Let's let people trickle in. Y'all know I have a rule, and this is going to be a very important rule through the rest of the offseason, okay? And during the season as well. People come to this channel for two reasons. One, for fantasy football content, and two, because I am one handsome mother effer. What people don't come here is for politics. Ton of different places you can go get politics at. Now, I will say, a former president / current front runner to be president just almost got assassinated. So obviously, I guess we need to address it. Very sad day. I don't think anybody ever would be happy about this. If you're happy about someone almost dying, then you have something wrong with you. But yes, very sad day. There's nothing I can really add to it. Nothing I can really do to it. So I'm going to be drafting a fantasy football team here. But Nick says, Mason, you click green yet? I have no idea what the hell that means, my guy. Click like enter? Enter the tournament. We in here, my guy. We in here. But let's go ahead. Let's see what we get. CeeDee Lamb goes to 1. I've seen this more and more. I was actually just in a Best Ball Mania draft off the live stream. And we ended up seeing Christian McCaffrey fall down to 3. So it's definitely looking like a trend where more people are going through, taking Lamb over McCaffrey. Will be interesting to see how long that lasts. Like I said, if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy, then everybody will be crushed by CMC in round 1 if he stays healthy. Now he's a 28-year-old running back. I don't know. I'm probably going to go CMC at 1. I've definitely tinkered with the idea of CeeDee Lamb at 1, specifically in underdog drafts and underdog drafts alone, but I don't know. We're going to go ahead. We'll take Jefferson here at 6. I've said this time and time again, but it's just so much easier to go ahead and start wide receiver round 1. We can go wide receiver round 2, and we can go Kyren Williams round 3. Really easy setup. Okay. But Radius says, Hill fell to me at 5 somehow drafting yesterday. I'm sure I've been in a draft where Tyreek Hill's fallen that far, and I maybe just haven't noticed. But yeah, I can't remember a draft. I can't. I'm sure I've been in one for sure. But Jahmyr Gibbs off the board at 12. Super standard start. Really the only thing that's worth talking about potentially is Amon-Ra St. Brown before Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Really the only things that you'd expect here to go differently is Christian McCaffrey at 1 and then Chase before St. Brown. But outside of that, looks to be a super standard draft for him so far. Henry says, I had a 3 pick and got Lamb. I'd be so excited if that happened to me. Henry says, I was in a draft where A.J. Brown went 2 and Tyreek fell to 5 yesterday in a Best Ball Mania. Adam says, got Bijan at 10 was earlier in ball. I have noticed there being a much wider gap on where Bijan and Breece are going as of late. A couple different trends I've noticed. One, Bijan and Breece I've seen them go before some of these receivers, but I've also seen both of them fall to 10 lately, which is very interesting. It used to be a few weeks ago where they would only go at 7 and 8. Here they went at 7 and 8, but it looks like that may be changing on the whole. We're going to take Olave here at 19. The other trend that I've noticed, and it's not a super, super big trend, but it's worth pointing out, is I'm in 2 separate $500 drafts off the live stream right now. I will make videos and cover all this as they conclude. But it looks to be in the high stakes drafts at the moment. A.J. Brown is going earlier than he is in the lower stakes drafts. And the high stakes drafts, I've seen multiple occasions A.J. Brown going before these running backs like Breece Hall and Bijan, where you don't see that as often in just like the regular $5 drafts on Underdog. Henry says, if Adams goes to the Jets, how much does this hurt Wilson? Is this being rumored at all? If Devonte Adams went to the Jets, Garrett Wilson easily fall. I mean, how about this? Can everybody spam the chat? If Adams went to the Jets, obviously long-term dynasty, everybody and their mom's still on Garrett Wilson. But if Adams goes to the Jets this season, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Garrett Wilson or Devonte Adams? Please spam the chat. The good fellow says it's a rumor. I did not see this. I've pulled up Twitter a few times today, but every time I pulled up Twitter, it's been post-Trump shooting. So that's the only thing I've seen. Adams. Okay, just checking that we are on the same page. I think Adams would probably jump up to, I would go Puka over Adams. I would probably jump Adams to like 13 in this draft if Adams went to the Jets. Garrett Wilson would probably fall to being a third rounder. Like initial gut reaction. We'll go ahead. We'll take DK Metcalf. I don't take Metcalf much, but if you look at the crossover with ADP right now, I think this will be a somewhat unique start. At least the most unique start we could have had. And real quick, I do want to remind it, y'all. If somehow you are new here, if you don't know what we're doing, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every offseason. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And of course, if you wanted to hop in a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you would get my 2024 fantasy football rankings. If you use code FLOCK, you would get my 2024 fantasy football draft guide. And if you are in a new account, you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250 with code FLOCK. I'd say now is by far and away the best time to hop on Underdog if you are new. One, because of the $5 tournament that they have live right at the moment. So it's, really just fun practice for your main fantasy football league. And two, you also get an additional Gunnar Henderson higher, lower, half a total home run for the home run derby as well. Okay. Adam says old man to old man. Yes. Adams and Rodgers would be holding it down. It'd probably have to show Jets games in black and white, but it'd be worth it. And real quick, I don't know if I showed this as well. If you wanted to get on Underdog, you would have to be in one of these states. You can look at the screen here. It is pretty much every state, but you'd have to be in one of those. Okay, so if Allen makes it to us, I'll take Josh Allen. If Allen doesn't, I'm probably going to go ahead and go with the running back. Allen doesn't, so I think we're going to go ahead, take Pacheco here. I think you can make an argument for Travis Etienne. I've just personally drafted more Travis Etienne than I have Isaiah Pacheco this season, so I want to mix it up. I think both running backs are in great spots. I am not going to have like a super hot take one guy over the other. I think they're about the same. So I probably want to have similar exposure if they're both at similar ADP. Long time no see, my friend. I recognize this name. I'm bald. I'm 21. I'm 23 too. This has been your name for years. There's no way you're still 23, my friend. And I'm not bald yet, but I am rapidly approaching that status, concerningly fast. So next year, my YouTube name is probably going to have to be changed from Flock Fantasy to I'm bald, I'm 26 too. Or we win Basketball Mania, I fly to Turkey, and I get hair plugs. Either or. But anyway, do you think Brock Bowers will affect Devontae's production, or will he elevate the offense to the point where there's more touchdown upside? I think Brock Bowers has little to no impact on Devonte Adams this season. I think the story with Adams is more so centered around the natural regression that you see for wide receivers going into year 10 of their NFL careers. So, I know Brock Bowers is a phenomenal tight end prospect. Obviously, the tight end one in this class by far. But to project out a rookie tight end to have an impact on a wide receiver that traditionally has a 30% team target share. The reason I am not drafting Devonte Adams round 1 this year is not because of Brock Bowers. The reason that I think Adams is going here at pick 22 is specifically due to just natural age regression. Ethan says, "I'm my first triathlon tomorrow morning. Freaking pumped. Good luck, my friend. It's going to go by so damn fast. I hope you have a lot of fun. That's awesome. And let me know, where are you racing?" I'm Baldum 23 too, says, "Turning 24 in December." I swear. Maybe your name used to say I'm Baldum 22 too. Something like that. Seems like you've been with us way longer. Okay, Kyle Pitts goes 53. I am not a Hollywood Brown guy at all. I feel like we have enough wide receiver production here, so I'm actually going to go ahead, reach on James Cook, bring James Cook in here at pick 54. Yeah, I'm going to be underweight Hollywood Brown this year. And I'm going to sleep well at night saying that. I'm completely fine with it. Ethan says, Southwest Ohio, it's a sprint. Let me pull up. I've heard people reference sprint triathlons. I don't know exactly what they are. Sprint triathlon distances. So 750 meter swim, 20K bike, 5K run. That's going to be interesting because I guess there, if you are trying to get a good time, like whenever I was in the Ironman, I didn't care at all about how slow my transitions were, like going between and changing from like my swim stuff to my bike stuff and my bike stuff to my run stuff, just because like it's such a small percentage of it. But I guess if you're doing like a sprint triathlon, you're having to haul butt and try to change as fast as you can too. Now, Joseph says, I had a very similar build to yours earlier and also decided to take Cook there. See, my thing is, there are going to be so many other drafts where I didn't start Jefferson, Olave, DK out the gate, where instead, say I went like Kyron Williams in round 3. In a draft where I went Kyron Williams in round 3, where here I didn't get the opportunity. But in that instance, it probably makes a lot more sense for me to go with like Keenan Allen at pick 54. Where specifically in this draft, it's like, okay, Gene Reed, Hollywood Brown, Keenan Allen. I think these are going to be the same as the wide receivers that are going to be available to us at 67. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to take James Cook. I don't really care because I think the wide receiver tier is going to be super flat, pretty long, and I don't think we need multiple wide receivers here. I think we just need one. But are you freaking kidding me? Did someone take Addison round 5? Okay, y'all are no longer invited to these drafts. Taking my guy Addison round 5 from us. Just not cool, man. Not cool. We're going to go ahead. Because Addison's gone, we will pull the trigger on Rome Odunze at 67. Clearly, this is a spot where we haven't had the opportunity to take an elite level quarterback. We could have gone and unstacked Jalen Hurts there instead of Isaiah Pacheco. I'll definitely mix in that every once in a while. But yeah, round 5, we didn't get the shot for an elite level quarterback. So now we have to be thinking in the back of our minds, okay, how can we set up these quarterback values in the middle round that makes sense for this team? So taking Rome here, it does give us an okay spot where we are able to follow it up with Caleb a little later on. Sean Bean saying, says 6 wide receivers at the 11th pick. Going 6 wide receivers out the gate on Underdog, historically speaking, has not been that bad. Now, the mistake that people think when they go 6 wide receivers out the gate on Underdog is they think that they still need to have a typical construction where they draft 8 wide receivers. I've seen some people go like 6 wide receivers out the gate and draft a total of 9 receivers, which is ludicrous. You never do it. If you draft 6 wide receivers in a row in your Underdog draft, it's honestly fine. It sounds crazy, but you can do it. I did it in an eliminator draft earlier today, which an eliminator probably not the best place to do it, but it fell to us that way. But anyway, the thing you have to understand is if you go 6 wide receivers in a row at the gate, you are so far behind at running back, quarterback, tight ends that you're going to need to allocate the extra roster spots to those positions where you probably only want to draft 6 wide receivers. And if you do draft the 7th, it's not going to be until the very end because you're going to be playing catch up through the middle rounds. So drafting 6 wide receivers in a row is not inherently a bad thing in these Underdog drafts. However, where it becomes bad is you draft the 6 wide receivers in the first 6 rounds. And then you also allocate too many roster spots to the position. Keon Coleman goes 76. Montgomery off the board. So a couple different things. We could go Evan Ingram, and we could potentially set ourselves up with Trevor Lawrence a little later on. I don't know if we want to do that, however. I think we're just going to go ahead, take JSN, the last wide receiver in this tier. Because we know for a fact on the way back around, we are going to go with the running back, whether that's Zamir White, whether that's Jonathan Brooks, James Conner, Jalen Moore, and DeAndre Swift. I don't know yet. Could be even Zach Moss. Could be Raheem Mostert. But we know we're going to want to go with the running back. I know I'm not going to want to draft Curtis Samuel there. I can tell you that for a damn fact. So we'll just get our last wide receiver, and then we'll queue up whatever running back that we are going to get at 91. Okay. Henry says, I was in a draft where one guy went 7 wide receivers at the gate while another did 6. Put it this way, Keenan Allen went at the 404. That is pretty funny. The issue is, if you know that the people in your draft, like 7 wide receivers at the gate, there's no way in hell that makes any sense. You're not catching up from 7 wide receivers in a row. But if you know, like, the people in your draft that go 6 wide receivers in a row, understand, okay, I'm not going to be able to draft another receiver for a very long time, and at the very most, I can only take 7, then you can still find wide receiver values later. You don't necessarily have to be, like, reaching on Keenan Allen there at the beginning of the 4th round. But the issue is, if you get one of those draft rooms where people don't understand that, they take the 6 wide receivers in a row, and then all of a sudden they followed up in round 8 and 9 with 2 more receivers, and you're looking at them going, man, you just killed your team, and you also just screwed this entire room for anybody else who didn't also go with 5 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds. Then you can fall into some dangerous waters. Observations of Lai says, was in a room where someone took 8 wide receivers back. Someone took 8 wide receivers the first 8 rounds. They took their buy-in and lit it on fire. Plan A is Jonathan Brooks here. Plan B was going to be Ferguson. Yeah, we get Brooks. I think Brooks, no-brainer pick. Y'all see that if I'm in an eliminator draft, I am not going ever Jonathan Brooks in round 8, just because Brooks probably not doing anything at the beginning of the season, and in an eliminator-style contest, points at the beginning of the year definitely matter a lot. Here, points in this puppy tournament are primarily skewed where they matter for weeks 15, 16, 17. So I'm fine to go through and say, oh, okay, well, give me the guy who has the highest ceiling possible in weeks 15, 16, 17. I think that is going to be Jonathan Brooks. The Almighty Hat Center says, just saw Devonte to the Jets. Let me see if I can find anything. Usually if I'm looking for news, I just go to Twitter and use the search function, but I'm sure it's going to be hard to find stuff on Twitter at the moment. Okay. Devonte Adams. Yeah, so apparently 2 days ago, Roger says, I love Devonte Adams. I can't wait to play with him again. There's a clip of Devonte Adams screaming about Jimmy G for whatever reason. Yeah, so I don't really see too many things regarding Adams. The Almighty Hat Center says Raiders are so cooked. Love to see. I mean, doesn't matter if the Raiders have Adams or don't have Adams. They're not doing anything this season anyway. Okay, so we're actually going to take Joshua Palmer here. Reason being is we need to be setting ourselves up for additional quarterbacks if we miss out on our main stacks coming up. So right now, potential quarterbacks, Geno Smith makes a lot of sense here. We have DK, we have Jackson Smith and Jigba. We can go Geno Smith, get the double stack there in Seattle. I'm not taking Derek Carr. Maybe it's something that we should be doing every once in a while. I just don't. I have so much Derek Carr fatigue. Why is this guy still around? I'm not taking Derek Carr to pair up with Olave. We can take McCarthy to pair up with Jefferson. We can go Caleb to pair up with Rome. And now taking Palmer gives us the option to go Justin Herbert. Really, I'm never going to go Joshua Palmer here in round 9 unless I need a potential quarterback stack later on to open up with Herbert. Kate says Derek Carr is your destiny. Let me see how many drafts I've taken. The only time I'll ever take Derek Carr if it is an eliminator draft and I need a third quarterback and I go, okay, I know Derek Carr is going to start the season. I have Derek Carr in 2% of drafts. Observations of Lysa's Rattler taking over for Carr. Probably not happening, but like the Derek Carr thing is just, it's just so boring. Sean says, could be the case. It's looking like, especially after the receiver series. I have not seen Nolan out here with us at pick, I want to say 12, 11, 10. I picked 9. Been a long time over the flock. Happy to see you, my guy. But let me know, if you've seen the receiver documentary, is it worth watching? Right now, I'm rewatching Breaking Bad, so my bar to throw something else on my plate is pretty high. 2, if you've seen the Hard Knocks offseason edition with the Giants, is it worth watching? So I was really hoping we were going to get Caleb to pair up with Rome. Caleb's gone. All of a sudden, we need to pivot to another running back. I think we'll probably pivot to another player. Quarterback doesn't make sense here. We could have reached on Tua 8 picks, 9 picks past ADP, but we don't have any Dolphins. So Panda says worth watching receiver, in my opinion. I've heard receiver was better than quarterbacks. I didn't finish quarterbacks. I think maybe I watched like 2 episodes of quarterbacks, maybe. But honestly, I just need to stop being a lazy bum and I need to get back on the bike in the garage. And if I get back on the bike, we're for sure watching it. Douglas says both are pretty good. Chris says Hard Knocks is better than receiver. Definitely both worth it. Receiver really good. Hard Knocks sucks. Receiver's pretty good. What is better, receiver or quarterback? I've heard receivers better just because the thing with quarterback is nobody was exciting. Kirk Cousins is probably about the most boring dude you could ever see. Justin Herbert here goes, God knows how early compared to ADP at 119. It is what it is. But Cousins couldn't be more boring. Mahomes is one of the best, if not he's not better. I don't want to go Brady versus Mahomes right now. But Mahomes is a top 2 to 3 quarterback of all time and potentially could be the best quarterback ever, depending on how the rest of his career goes. Still a boring dude. And Marcus Mariota is kind of boring. So it looks like, yeah, most people are saying receiver over quarterback. David says receiver got me hyped on Jefferson. I was going to say, maybe because the receiver Jefferson flips Amon-Ra, but Amon-Ra's on it, of course. Yeah, I feel like the receivers would just probably be more interesting. So, yeah, I mean, if we're looking at quarterbacks, QBs that we can take here. Jared Goff. Jared Goff is the only quarterback available within the next 30 picks of ADP. We don't have any Lions. So we're in a spot where we probably need to set ourselves up with another quarterback option later on in Aaron Rodgers. So let's go ahead. Let's take Mike Williams. It's probably our last receiver, to be honest with you. We just took our 7th guy. And yeah, I'm dying here for a quarterback. So we're going to now our targets for quarterback. Still have McCarthy in play. I guess y'all are going to force my hand and make me go Derek Carr. Geno Smith for double stack with DK and Rome in play. DK and JSN. We got sniped on Caleb for Rome. Justin Herbert went like 20-something picks before ADP, so we didn't get him with Palmer. But we set ourselves up with potentially Aaron Rodgers by taking Mike Williams. Okay. TGL says, my second high stakes underdog draft just started, hoping for a semi-unique 1-2. Got the 8th pick, which I'm not crazy about. At least with the 8th pick, my guy. And I'll say one thing too. With the super high stakes underdog tournaments, like if you're in the big dog, it's a small enough field where you don't have to get super unique. Obviously, here in a puppy contest, in Best Ball Mania, it does make sense to try to get leverage over the rest of the field by having a very unique start out the gate. Well, let me see how many teams are going to be in the big dog tournament. I'm on the clock, sorry. Yeah, there are 372 entrants and already 17% full, so. We're going to go Chubb as our last running back. Love Chubb at ADP, specifically for the tournaments where we're trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17. What I don't love about Chubb is the fact that we also have Jonathan Brooks on the squad. So having Brooks and Chubb on the same team does not feel great. But yeah, from here, we are going to go with 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends. I guess we'll have another spot to play around with. Okay. Talon says, do you think stacking, drafting value, or roster construction is the most important underdog drafts? The most important is roster construction. Because if you don't know what you're doing here, and every once in a while you'll see someone step into an underdog draft and they take 5 receivers. Or they take 3 running backs. You know, if you aren't within the guardrails of an optimal roster construction, you just have no shot to win whatsoever. So I'd say the most important thing in these underdog drafts is 1, roster construction. Understand that you're pretty much only ever drafting 2 to 3 quarterbacks. The very widest range, 4 to 7 RBs, but primarily 5 to 6 running backs. The very widest range, 6 to 10 wide receivers, but primarily 7, 8, 9 wide receivers. And 2 to 3 tight ends. Some people have tried to get cute with 4 tight ends. Don't do it. Not good. Some people try to get cute with 4 quarterbacks. Don't do it. Not good. 2 to 3 QBs, 2 to 3 tight ends, 4 to 7 running backs, but really just 5 to 6 RBs. And like we said, 6 to 10 receivers, but really just 7, 8, 9 wide receivers. So roster construction, the most important. Stacking drafting value is going to be dependent on the tournament style contest that you are in. If you're in the eliminator, I would say drafting value is more important. If you are in a large field contest like the puppy, I would say stacking is more important. So that is how I'd be breaking that down, my friend. But here, I think we are going to go ahead. We will take Luke Musgrave. It's actually very interesting, is obviously Tucker Kraft's injury has dropped Tucker Kraft off the map where he never gets drafted now. And Luke Musgrave really hasn't gotten much more expensive. Taking Musgrave here at pick 150, we're definitely still in a spot, right, where we are going to go ahead. We are going to take 3 tight ends. The instance where we only take 2 tight ends is if we took Sam Laporta and Luke Musgrave. There we're just chilling with 2. But yeah, we're going to go 3 tight ends still. We're going to go 3 quarterbacks still. Nothing has changed on that front. Okay. That guy says, well, what's the best strategy for regular draft? It really is going to depend on your league settings. I'll try to go through and I'll try to make as many draft strategy videos as I can, specifically geared toward the exact league settings that you were in. Because understanding, I'm playing in a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex league, 10-team format. That league could not be more different than a 12-team league where you start 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes. Just completely different draft strategies that you should have. Okay. Deshaun Watson goes 156. We didn't have any Cleveland guys. No harm, no foul. Seeing Watson go. Now, we still, I believe, unless I'm mistaken, have 1 more open slot for receiver if we wanted to. We're probably chilling at running back with Pacheco, Cook, Brooks, Javonte, Chubb. this Maddie team takes a third quarterback in Geno Smith, unstacked. They reach 9 picks on Geno to block us from the double stack. To take their third quarterback. Here's your attention, my friend. I hope it's enough for you. I hope you're happy with it. Okay. Adam Thielen goes, so we did put ourselves in a position where we are going to be able to get Aaron Rodgers, primarily why we went through and took Mike Williams where we did. So we're going to get Rodgers, QB1. Obviously, we're still going to be having to draft 3 quarterbacks. And our other potential guys that we're going to be going for at this point will be probably Carr and McCarthy. Unless we end up taking like Wandale and then we go ahead and grab Daniel Jones. Because I do think we can take one more receiver. Actually, no. We need to take... No, we're exclusively quarterback and tight end. We have 4 rounds left. Never mind. Okay. Frank says, got into a draft today at the 101 and had the best team I've gotten all season. Best ball mania at 1 point. Good luck, my friend. I will say. If you used code FLOCK, I hope you read the terms of service, because if you win Best Ball Mania, I get a 10% agent fee. I'll take it in cashier's check. I'll take it in cash. I'll take it in Visa gift cards. I'll take it in Google Play gift cards. Whatever, however you want to get me my $150,000. It's fine. No, it's a Sam Howell skeleton key. The issue is, I think if you were looking at going through and drafting like a round 18 quarterback that the rest of the field is not taking, you specifically have to draft someone. I mean, you could go like Sam Howell in a Superflex draft, right? And if somehow, like if you take a backup quarterback in a Superflex draft, he hits. That's why 2 years ago, Geno, absolute league winner, crushed all the Superflex contests because he was going at the very end. But if you take Sam Howell in best ball, I mean, in the puppy tournament, and he doesn't get drafted at all, and then all of a sudden he comes out, has the QB 12 season, it just doesn't matter, you know. The instance where taking the quarterback round 18 that not many people are drafting would matter is if that quarterback has the rushing upside to give you a top 3 finish. AKA, oh, shoot. We're going to go Conklin here to get a double stack with Rodgers, Mike Williams, and Tyler Conklin. But really, like, the only guys would be Fields and Lance that have that rushing upside that aren't getting drafted. And Fields does get drafted occasionally. Fields QB 32. If I completely whiff on quarterback and I don't even have any potential stacking options, I will take Justin Fields. And then a lower owned Justin Fields that has rushing upside is Lance. Okay. Jimmy asking, would you rather stack Corley or Conklin? Definitely Tyler Conklin, because we need 3 tight ends with this team. Our tight end 1 is Luke Musgrave. So, because we need 3 tight ends, definitely going to go down the tight end rabbit hole. Okay. Talon says, will you do any Superflex drafts on Underdog? Would they come out? Yes, I will. Probably not super often. I'd prefer the 1 quarterback over the Superflex. And honestly, it's selfishly because I've had a lot of success in the 1 quarterback drafts, and I've had absolutely no success in the Superflex. Frank says, I'll send you an Applebee's gift card. If it's an Applebee's gift card for $150,000, I'm chilling, my guy. I'll take it. I'll take it. The Almighty says, who's your most drafted player currently? Mine is Tajay Spears, 21. Can everybody spam the chat? Who is your most drafted quarterback at the moment? I'm sorry, most drafted player at the moment. Mine, like I've said a million times now, Jordan Addison. I think he's being drafted at wide receiver like 39, wide receiver 40. And I think if Cousins were to have stayed, I would be ranking Jordan Addison as high as like wide receiver 18 this season. With Kirk Cousins leaving, I think I would probably knock Addison down to like wide receiver 30, but I still think he's a lot better than the wide receiver 40. Kate says Roshan 26%. I love the Roshan call. DK, I do not like the DK call. Ty Chandler, Christian Kirk. I'm not in on Kirk. Flowers, Shakir, Hawkinson. Unfortunately, Javonte Spears. Lamar at 20. Ooh, crap. We are on the clock. We are quarterback, tight ends. We'll just go ahead. We'll just take Jonnu Smith as our third tight end. We'll panic and we'll go Jonnu. I think some of these other quarterbacks could make it back to us. The interesting question is, can we go, oh, yeah, we'll take Bryce Young, and then we'll have Jonathan Brooks coming out with some massive receiving games? Probably not. Brett says Jonathan Brooks. I have a lot of Jonathan Brooks, specifically in the regular tournament style contest on Underdog. I have been drafting a lot of eliminator contests. There, I probably have 0% Jonathan Brooks. So it probably evens out where I'm average with the market on Brooks, but I'm heavily skewed in like Best Ball Mania and the puppy tournaments to be overweight Jonathan Brooks because their weeks 15, 16, 17 matter a ton. And in the eliminator contest, I have a 0 of them. Okay. Nolan says 21% Quentin Johnson. I have an embarrassing amount of Quentin Johnston. Like I'm not going to make any. Here's the God honest truth with you. Hypothetically, if I were to make a top 10 must draft, we're just going to go Carr. It's gross, but we're going to do it. If I were to make a top 10 must draft wide receivers and I were to go through and I were to show y'all my 10 most drafted receivers, Quentin Johnston may hypothetically be in that top 10, but I would not include him in the video. I'd be too embarrassed. Augustus says Quentin Johnston is the cover athlete to this draft. Yeah, that is true. But yeah, let me pull some other names that I've taken a lot of. Names that I'm willing to give you and I'm not too embarrassed about. I'm not embarrassed about Addison at all. I feel like I should be embarrassed about taking DJ Chark as much as I have. I just don't know who else to take in round 18. Yeah, Quentin Johnston is my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th. Quentin Johnston is my 7th most drafted receiver, which is so disgusting. Let's move this over. I think we're most likely going to go McCarthy. Even if Young would have made it back to us. At this point, what we are looking for at quarterback is we are looking to grab a quarterback that hopefully has a wide range of outcomes and could be great in the final 3 weeks of the season. So whether that's McCarthy, whether that's an unstacked Fields, whether we go old school here, go vintage, and go an unstacked Lance. You know what I've been waiting for so much? And I know it's not going to happen, but I would kill for it to happen. Is I would just love Trey Lance to get traded to like the Raiders, or Dak to some massive deal goes down where Dallas doesn't want to pay Dak. And it's not going to happen. I understand this. We're going to go McCarthy, pair him up with Jefferson, and set up a prayer that McCarthy somehow turns into something solid. But it would be so nice if Trey Lance just got a starting job somewhere specifically so I could fire up this live stream. And I daydream about this. Get the 101, draft Trey Lance, take a screenshot, tweet it out, and say, okay, now what? What now? Obviously, Lance at pick 1, but what do you do after this? But it will stay in our dreams. I think that's all I got for you. Really appreciate you hanging out with me this fine Saturday. Probably going to end this, work on the draft guide for the next 3 hours. And what sucks about the previous month we've been working on the draft guide, it was all like data collection. It was all just looking up analytic stuff, getting screenshots, putting all the data together where we needed it. So whenever I was doing that, I could have a YouTube video. I could have Netflix playing on the other screen. Now for the draft guide, I'm freaking having to actually write stuff. So I can't have anything playing but music, which sucks. But appreciate you. Really hope that you all have a great night. Really hope that we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow. And of course, if you want to join a draft with us, that link's in the description, comment section. Use code FLOCK, get my draft guide, get the rankings, get everything. Appreciate you, and I'll see you tomorrow.